Hello people, and welcome back to Age of Empires 2, and today I'm just demonstrating how to beat the AI on moderate difficulty, which is in fact a sequel to a pre-existing video that I made, which was just a playthrough of the game, but this time I'll just be going through tip by tip, just breaking each point down properly. So you join me on the starting screen when you're setting up the game, and you want to consider each little bit quite thoroughly. There's a lot of settings which you should just leave it as it should be, because that's how you should play Age of Empires standardly. However, the first one you may want to consider, and it's actually quite an important one, is just picking your civilization properly. If whatever civilization you pick, just read through their stuff. Like with the Lithuanians, you can see, start with extra food. They got good spearmen, skirmishers, move 10% faster, and all sorts. You want to read through that. But there's also civilizations which are much more forgiving for newer players, such as the Huns, because you don't have to micromanage houses, so you won't get pop capped and stuff like that. But this isn't a in-depth video about what civilization you should pick, because there's hundreds of videos online dissecting each civilization. So the next one you want to consider picking is the AI tab. If you literally just click on AI, it will come up. And normal AIs, that's the standard Definitive Edition AI, which is by far the hardest. You have the CD version AI, which is the easiest. That's the old version of, I think it's from the Conqueror's AI, I believe. HD version, very self-explanatory. It's the HD version which came out in the early 2010s. But yeah, CD version, you could select on that and practice on CD before you go on proper AI. Just to make the jump between standard and moderate a little bit more easier for you, rather than it just being one big leap. Now, the map is actually quite important, because some maps are easier to control than others. The most easiest to control, in my opinion, is Black Forest. It's the easiest to practice on. You can really defend yourself very well here by setting up walls on the choke point, which pretty much generates between 80 to 90% of games. I see that choke point developing, and you can just wall that off, gate it off however you want, which allows you to control the game a little bit better. Resources, just keep it the same. Population, I recommend 200 to practice on. And yeah, I think that's actually no. Reveal map. This is quite an important one to select, because you could these toggles, so all visible, you can see everything. Explored, everything's explored, but there's fog of war. Normal, all unexplored with fog of war. And of course, because scout micromanagement from the start of the game can be quite difficult to do as a newer player, if you put it on explored or all visible, that can be a little handicap for you, just to help you defeat moderate. So with this next bit, I'm going to show you the importance of hotkeys. Now, as soon as I unpause the game, I'll demonstrate why hotkeys are important, because they will get you to be able to do your build orders in quick succession. But on the next game, I'll show you what it's like without your keyboard, not using your hotkeys, and there's a big difference in this. Okay. And there we go, we don't get pop cap there, because I was able to build a house in quick succession. Now with the same thing, I'm going to restart the game, so we're on the exact same board, and I'm just going to do it with my mouse. See, look, it's much slower. I think I will get pop capped here, and I can't even use my keyboards, so I can't direct my horse about properly by holding shift. And are we going to get our house caps? Yep, we just did. So yeah, that proves that hotkeys are way faster. And I did that both times as quick as possible. Like, there's no biases there. So yeah, hotkeys are really important. And what else I'd say with hotkeys is it's not too difficult to learn actually, because you can assign them yourself. So 2 buttons which are really important is idle villager and next town centre, which tab is for me idle villager, so that's gone to that person, and once I click off them, press tab again, it goes into them. And next town centre for me is caps lock, and there we go, I'm on the town centre. Because you know, when you're economically booming in the castle age, you want to jump from town centre to town centre and pressing Q to create a villager. Now, what makes the hotkeys quite easy to remember is if you're using mouse anyway, you see this little interface at the bottom here. This corresponds greatly with your keyboard. So this goes to the topmost left, which is Q, to the bottommost right, which is B. Not sure if there's anything to prove that. Yes, there is, which is ringing the town bell. So if we go caps B, that rings the town bell, and G is the garrison. Yeah, that's a pretty easy tip. And with the villager, if I want the lumber mill, you know that the build icon's here, and the lumber mill is 3 across from Q, so W E R, so it'd be here, so Q R, and you got the lumber mill. Yeah, it just speeds up things really well instead of going like this. So when you need to micromanage, that's a very important tip. Here's something very important, it's your build orders and how you should structure your games, what you should go for, and all that sort of stuff going through the ages. Now, build orders, they can be a little bit annoying to learn because it's just, well, you know, just trying to remember something, but in my experience, it was pretty easy to remember. I'll show a graph up on screen on what sort of build orders you want. But I think the main thing is just when you're going through the ages, especially the Dark Age, make sure you're constantly producing villagers, unless you're building things like loom. Constantly build villagers until you get enough food to go into the next stage, which you do need a good surplus of, and that's where the build orders really do help you out on that. Your build order can vary, as it is a strategy game. You want to mix it up according to whatever you're trying to go for, whether that's like a night rush later in the game, so you may have a bit more of a focus on gold at different points. But yeah, if you nail down your build orders, you're definitely on your road to being able to defeat moderate difficulty on Age of Empires 2. One thing that the moderate AI is really good at doing is countering your units. As soon as they figure out what kind of units you're producing, they'll produce a counter for them. So they'll produce pikemen if they find out that you're making knights. The best thing to do is just learn all the counters. There's lots of units in the game, so it's quite tricky to do so, but I would strongly just suggest doing that. But also, if you don't know them, just produce the same units as they're using, or you can sort of just get a feel for the game, just figure out what units are effective at that moment in time, and what you could do better at. And just in case you do need to produce counter units, make sure you have barracks, archery ranges, stables and siege engineers available, just so you're ready for them. So as I said, Black Forest is a very good map to practice on, especially against a difficulty which you're just going from one to the other, so that could be standard to moderate, moderate to hard. A very effective thing to pretty much hold up play, to stall out, is to build a wall like this, because 80 to 90% of the time, which I find when playing Black Forest, you literally only get one choke point between the two civilizations. And what a lot of people have been saying in the comments in the last video is that they do get attacks around the 20-minute mark, 20 to 30 minutes roughly. However, if you have a wall, like, there's no way of them getting through it, especially if it's double layered like this, because if you're both at the feudal age, it would take quite a long time for feudal age units to get through a double layered, triple layered. You could go 5 layers of wall on this one, just to really stall out the game, and they probably won't even bother attacking if they could see a wall here. However, if it was a map which was a little bit open, so maybe like a couple of different ways to get through, like here and here, you just build houses like this or other buildings just to completely block it off, just to make sure your base is pretty much safe, your city's safe. And yeah, you got to be cautious on Black Forest as well. There's some openings like here. If you start chopping through this, it might take a little while, but eventually your villagers will be able to cut an opening here, and they can just start running through. Here as well, you might want to build things like watchtowers just so you can see over all this. But yeah, if they start attacking your walls, it probably won't be at the 20-minute mark. It may delay it till maybe 40 minutes until they're in the Imperial Age, when they have like rams and things. But when they start doing, you can start gauging what kind of units they have, and just like the last tip, you can see what units you can counter with. And when they start doing that, you can start producing, knights or whatever you want to use. So yeah, make sure you build that wall. It's very important. It's a very easy thing to overlook. So this is a big tip coming up, and it's very important because the AI do this as well. If you didn't know already, the moderate AI is pretty much of the standard of a pretty low rated ranked level, so they do follow these tips very loosely. However, when you reach Castle Age, it's extremely important that you do economically boom. If you don't, you'll be completely left in the dust. And what I mean by booming is creating multiple town centres and creating many villages. The ideal amount of villages, if you're on the 200 population game, is 120. You want 60% ideally of your max population should be in villages. So for 500, you should have 300 villages, which is quite a lot, but I would suggest just going 200 population, to be honest. But yeah, the reason why is because, you may think, oh yeah, but I want that room for my military when I attack, but that's just far from what you should be aiming for. You should be really focusing on your economy, because if you don't have your economy, you'd never be able to get up to the max population, because you don't have enough villages on gold and food and woods to actually produce any military units, and you'd just get overwhelmed. So strong economy, strong military. You'll also be able to afford your upgrades and things like that. Make sure you get your upgrades as well. And the last thing I'll suggest is when you do eventually attack, just do it big. It's a very beginner kind of thing to just, you do one attack and that's going to decide the game. That's the beginner idea. Your one big attack is the deciding factor. And yes, it does actually work at this level. And here's the big attack, and this will decide the game, because I've just totally overwhelmed him, and the AI can't do anything. So I think I covered everything. There's all sorts of different intricacies which you can learn by just watching lots of different other Age of Empire videos. However, it's worth doing, and practicing lots is also a very good thing to do. So if this video was helpful, please leave a like, as well as commenting to, whatever I've missed, which could actually be a rather big topic and something worth asking, which may solicit for quite a big video, just like this one. But yeah, I'll see you on the next one.